Yeah, welcome to another episode of the Racer X Exhaust Podcast, brought to you by Yoshimura. I am Jason Weigandt. We are nearing 2 years now of doing this show. Our very first podcast, I did an intro exactly 2 years ago, and then our first real episode was myself and Davey Coombs running through Daytona Supercross history at Daytona. And Daytona is next week, and that's what we're going to do now. We're going to preview Daytona Bike Week and everything that's going on with perhaps the man who will do the most riding at Daytona of anyone, and that is Ryan Sipes, who will be racing both the Daytona Supercross and the Daytona TT. That's the American Flat Track opener the next weekend. So we're going to talk about a lot of different series and classes and events here, including the new Red Bull Day in the Dirt down south, which is a new event at the famous Dade City Motocross that will be at the end of the Bike Week schedule. I'm going to go and hang out there myself. But first, a shout out to Yoshimura. You've got the RS12 all-new exhaust system developed in conjunction with JGR Yoshimura Suzuki. That team is running those exhausts. You got Yoshimura exhaust with Honda HRC, Ken Roczen and Justin Brayton, and even the number 1E who won the race last weekend, Yoshimura Shod, Geico Honda of Chase Sexton. So go to yoshimura-rd.com. 7 decades of four-stroke research and development. So much to talk about this week, both what has happened and what is forthcoming. We have the very fun Atlanta Supercross weekend. This is such a good time of the year, man. For where I live now in North Carolina, Atlanta, Daytona, in motocross terms, those are local races because you can get there within a day's drive. I went to Club MX yesterday in South Carolina. It was absolutely loaded. I drove down there with Justin Brayton. Look for a podcast about that soon. The Hill brothers were there, Justin and Josh. Of course, our buddy Phil Nicoletti was there, being grumpy about a variety of things. And the team itself, the Club MX team, 6th, 7th, 8th over the weekend in Dallas with Joey Crown, Enzo Lopes, and Josh Hill. Those guys are crushing it. So it was really fun to watch them. A couple outstanding privateers there as well, Dylan Merriam, Cade Clayson. It was really just a great vibe down there usually, but this was exceptionally loaded, and it was super muddy and wet, and those guys still went out and did 2 20-minute motos. It was cool. So that's one thing, and then tonight I'm driving down to the Atlanta area, and Mathis and I are going to hang out at the Yamaha HQ, which is now in Georgia, tomorrow morning. Then we have Supercross Press Day tomorrow afternoon. Then we have the DMXS party Friday night. Then we have the day race. Race is going to start at 5 p.m. East instead of the normal 7 at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And then Daytona comes up next week. So much going on. A couple things to talk about here. It was a reality check in Dallas. We have been phenomenally lucky with the injury score in this series the last 2 years. Last year was pretty good. We lost Jason Anderson, but that's about it. Out of the big superstars of the series, most of the riders made all the races. And so far, so good this year. Lost Marvin Musquin in the offseason, but for the most part, the top guys have been there. It started to come apart a bit in Dallas, first with the Adam C. and Cerullo crash over the Dragon's Back. That's a bummer. Look, I hate to say it, but we knew going into this season that the greatest challenge for Adam would just be making all 17 races. It was not good for any of the rookies last year. We had 4 of them, I believe. Yeah, Hill, Osborne, Savacci, Plessinger. None of them made all 17. It's just tough for rookies to make all the races. I know that YouTube Nation, they love Adam. They thought he could win the title. They thought there would be serious heat between he and Eli Tomac in the Kawasaki truck as they'd be battling each other. You have to respect the 450 class and how tough it is on rookies. This is not a knock on Adam at all. It's just practically every rookie that comes in has problems getting through all the races. I know Jeremy McGrath and Ryan Dungey won the title in their rookie years. You can take those two, and I will counter with like 50 other rookies who were really good riders and failed to even get through the season healthy, okay? So that's what got AC. He was the fastest rider in qualifying the first 7 races. Then he crashes in qualifying in race 8. There are a million ways you can argue this crash that he had on a Dragon Back. You can listen to our main event Motopod with Daniel Blair. There was a huge I'm not even getting to say discussion. There was a huge argument with him and Chris Cooksey on his show this week. Was it the dragon back design that was a problem? Was it just the riders are starting to push it? Was that the problem? When I was at when I was at Club MX this week, Cade Clayson, the privateer, said, yeah, man, this time of the year, if you're not doing as good as you think, you start trying harder, and then you start crashing. That might be that simple. So that same obstacle then got Cooper Webb in the second main event, and that was a shocker with Adam. Like I said, if you had told me at the beginning of the season Adam's going to ride really well, but he might break a collarbone at one point, I hate it to say that you almost think a rider might get hurt, but I don't think any of us would have been like, no way, broken collarbone, that's not possible. But to see Webb crash like that, Webb has kind of quickly molded himself into the modern Ryan Dungey, the guy who's going to just consistent you. That was shocking to see, not just a crash from Webb, but a violent one. You could flip a coin as to which one was worse, Cianciarulo or Webb. I mean, Cianciarulo's impact was bad because he landed right in the face of the triple, so that was the, as I always say, the sudden stop that'll get you. But Webb landed on the concrete, and I think everybody figured, well, that's it for him. He's done. Jim Ross was out from the WWE, just making it clear, the champ is down, the champ is done, he's done, it's over, it's over. So the fact that somehow Webb has escaped with a hematoma and some deep bruising and will race this weekend in Atlanta is just, I mean, look, sometimes you're better off being lucky than good. There's nothing more to it than luck. I know he's probably in shape and he's flexible and all that, but he got flipped onto the concrete. There's only so much preventative training and gear that you can wear. He just got lucky in this one. But the problem is that Webb is now already down 26 points in the series, so he now has to prevent Tomac and Roczen from gaining more points on him. He's going to need to beat them at the races while he's hurt. You know there's no way he probably rode any kind of solid schedule this week. So it becomes a tall order. When a rider that's in title contention gets hurt, there's always two things. First, can I keep racing? That's the hard part. But when reality really bites is when you realize, okay, I'm good enough to go race, but oh no, I have to mount a comeback in the points while hurt. So even being able to race, there's not much of a silver lining there. He's got to hope for some trouble for Roczen and Tomac, and even if they have trouble, all that's going to do is erase the points he lost in Dallas. It's still not going to put him into the points lead, and he's hurt. So this is really going to be tough on Cooper. Now, we know he is tough. Maybe, I don't know if you can measure toughness, but okay, we'll give him a gold star on toughness for surviving the crash and not being out for several weeks. He did, if you remember, start the Outdoor 250 Championship and Lucas Oil Pro Motocross a few years ago with a broken wrist and ended up winning the title. He gutted out that broken wrist to get an 11th, I think, at the Supercross finale that year in the mud to gut out that Supercross title. Cooper's tough. I don't think anyone is doubting that. But the odds are so stacked against him. This is going to make for a very, very tough couple of weeks. And man, if you could think of one track you don't want to race with hematoma and tailbone and hip bruising and all that, it would be Daytona. I mean, it's just a rough race. So tall order in front of Cooper. I think if anyone you know is going to grit his teeth and keep swinging, keep fighting, that's going to be him. But I don't know if that's going to be enough. However, you would much rather have the intrigue of, can he stay in this? Can he pull it off? Can he grit his teeth and put some sort of miracle run together? You'd rather have that potential storyline than he's out for 6 or 8 weeks and there's no chance, right? This keeps it a lot more dynamic and interesting. And what also makes this harder to predict is this has become such a cats loving dogs, day is night, black is white season. Eli Tomac has become consistent. Anaheim 1 was a bad one. They fixed the bike. He's been good ever since. You got to give that to him. When a rider says it's a bike problem, and then they work on the bike, and then the very next weekend they're fine, and then they're consistently fine, you got to say, okay, I guess he's right. The bike wasn't what they needed it in Anaheim 1. He was one setting away from getting it right. He has said he hasn't changed the bike since. He's been rock solid in every race. He hasn't won all the races, but he's actually won half, and he has not been terrible Eli or Elito Tomac or any of that bad Eli at any of the races. This is great if you're an Eli Tomac fan and if you're Monster Energy Kawasaki. And Roczen has avoided the plague. Roczen has won a few races When he hasn't been quite as good, he's still been on the box. It has been fine for Ken Roczen. So those guys have avoided their Achilles heel, which has been the big crash or the injury, the inconsistent ride. They've avoided that. And that goes for a few other riders. How about the rock-solid, super consistent Malcolm Stewart and Justin Hill? How about this? We have heard that the Tigers don't change their stripes, but they have completely changed. They haven't been super flash guys this year. They've just been solid. And I think, honestly, if you're their team or you're fans of these riders, you're fine with that. You're fine with that. And I do feel with Hill, it's coming. It is coming. The building blocks have been put in place. Now you're seeing better starts. Now you're seeing the fast qualifying times. If he doesn't get taken out by Anderson in that first main event in Dallas, I'm really curious. I mean, he was in third. He was right behind Webb and Roczen. And I guarantee you that when Hill was there, he was thinking to himself, I'm going to see if I can run with these guys. And in a 12-minute main, he might have. It's coming for Hill. It could come as soon as this weekend. So just really interesting to see who has been consistent and who has not been. Cooper Webb, the first to go down out of these three title contenders of Webb, Tomac, and Roczen. Let's see how this goes further on. So that was Dallas. Do I need to mention this Stasek race? I guess I should. A lot has transpired, a lot of ins and outs, a lot of things have come to light. My son was asked by the Stasek people to participate in the race. It was awesome. I cannot thank them enough. Unfortunately, I know that people saw this and said, I got a Stasek, or I got a little kid who loves riding. How can I get in this event? It's not really like that. The KTM Junior Supercross Challenge, it's for 8-year-olds. You go to your KTM dealer, you enter, they pull names out of a hat. The Stasek thing, they have a very small staff. They decided to hold 2 of these races. They did one at Anaheim, 2. They did one here in Dallas. That's it. I don't think they're doing any more this year. And they're not looking to field thousands of entries. They just called some people they knew that had kids that had the bikes and said, show up. So that's what I did. And my kid can ride pretty well. I'm not trying to be braggy dad. I'm just saying he knows how to ride. And we rode a lot preparing for this 12-second long event. But I am telling you, man, I have learned many, many things. I went through the entire emotional process of being a mini dad in 12 seconds. So we do all the work. You know, my wife and my son have to fly to Dallas, and they have to meet me at the stadium, and we get in, and we're almost late to all the meetings and the riders meeting and practice and track walk and blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to make that happen while still trying to handle my regular job. All this stress, all this. We finally pull it off. We have to meet 7 or 8 times at the right time in the right place. We do all that. We had his gear. We had everything ready. And I'm just standing there in the starting line watching. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Let your kid race. And then he turns his head, and the race takes off. Everybody starts, and he's just sitting there in the starting line. Wasn't even looking. So then I have to yell, Lane, go! So he starts absolutely dead last. Yes, one kid was not paying attention when the race started, and that was my son. Now, I blame myself. This is a 5-year-old. I should have been looking out, but, you know, they said, oh, the older kids on the bigger bikes, they can handle it. The 2- and 3-year-olds, you know, parents can go down with them and help out. So I actually listened to that advice. But I did not know that when you're a mini parent, you do not take those chances. I reviewed the footage. I did not see a green flag. I said that on our podcast at Mathis. They said it'd be a green flag. There was no green flag. There was a green flag. Way down the start stretch. The angle that I shot my video off from the side, I could not see that. I do now realize that every other parent in the race stood behind their rider and kept an eye on everything happening and told the rider what was happening. And these other videos that the other parents have produced, you hear them saying, look for the green flag. There's the green flag. Focus. Where was I? I was off to the side, chilling out, hanging out. So I'm so mad at myself. This race doesn't mean anything as far as winning. I don't care if my son started in the middle of the pack and got last because he just was slow. And by the way, it doesn't even matter. Everybody's on the same bike. You just hold it wide open. There's not even a skill thing here. I'm just mad that I blew my part, which was just make sure you start the race when everybody else does. Don't come all the way to Texas and then be looking backwards. That was on me. You know why all the other kids didn't look backwards? Because their parents were standing behind them saying, focus. There's the green flag. Look at it. One parent did not do that. That was me. Now, I'm also the guy that wore a jersey backwards when I rode an Enduro 2 weeks ago. I wore an under the jersey chest protector over the top. Didn't know that. I have started local motocross races with my helmet unstrapped, with my goggles on the bars, with the choke on. One time we did a flat track race in a field for fun in the Racer X office, and I ran out of gas, and I had an off-road bike with a huge gas tank, but I just forgot to fill it with gas that day. I've ridden to the track and forgot my boots. There is some level of paranoia or attention to detail that I clearly do not have. And even when instructed to let the kids just handle it themselves, these other parents know you don't trust that. You still have to follow through. And I didn't do it. And every other parent, I mean, literally I have a video of every parent standing behind the rider, and there I am off to the side shooting this, not realizing, why are all the parents standing behind their riders? So as a mini bike dad, I experienced all the emotions. I'm over it now on Thursday, but it took about 3 days for me to get out of this funk. I want to thank the Stasek people. The event was cool, and more importantly, the machine is cool. The Stasek is a way that 2- and 3-year-olds can ride. They would not be able to do that on a P-dub, and because it's electric and it's light and it's small, even if you have a P-dub, I mean, you can ride this in the yard. You can throw it in the trunk of a car. You could take it anywhere. You can ride it in parks. You can't do that on a PW. So we still ride the Stasek more than the P-dub, because the P-dub, you got to find an actual motocross track. This thing we can ride in the park behind our house. It's awesome. So they did a good job. I'm not complaining about their start procedure. They said there'd be a green flag. There was a green flag. Lane's parent, myself, didn't see it. Okay, I just had to vent a little bit. Now we move on from Dallas to Daytona. We're going to get Ryan Sipes on here in a second. But let me just give you the rundown. This is the 50th anniversary of the Daytona Supercross. 50 years of this thing. That means it pretty much predates everything. Now, Davey Coombs loves this 1970s portion of motocross history. We'll have the list on the Racer X online site. He'll run through some of the great races of Daytona history, including how this first one worked, which is totally different than what the Daytona Supercross is like now, partially because in 1971, there was no blueprint really for racing in the United States. Didn't even have a national motocross championship yet. Certainly didn't have a supercross championship yet. We're also going to run through, I believe, next week, the best Daytona riders of all time. I'm going to put my vote in right now for Jeff Stanton. I know Ricky Carmichael is synonymous with Daytona. He was at the Daytona 500. He built the track this year. He won the race a lot. But Jeff Stanton won that race 4 straight years, 89, 90, 91, 92. He was a stud at this race. I'm going to vote for 6-time as the best Daytona rider ever. Come at me, bro. So, you know what the Daytona Supercross is all about these days? That's coming up next Saturday. I will be there. It's the one time a year that I get to be the live, on-the-floor announcer and podium interviewer at a Supercross. That included the fantastic win by Justin Brayton a few years ago, where I was the first man to greet him on the podium after he won the race, and I knew exactly where to stand to be seen on TV cameras so I could give him a hug, seen around the world. Yeah, I'll be back this year. And look, I don't know much about it. But I have heard that there might be something in the works with James Stewart for Daytona. That's all I know. I have no idea if that means it's going to actually happen. But if it does, I'm the announcer, right? So I would be part of it. This would be phenomenal. He came to Tampa. Why would he not come to Daytona? Maybe he'll come out and wave to the fans or something. So that's the Daytona Supercross. Then, of course, you have the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross at Daytona the next 2 days. That's Monday is generally heat races, LCQs. Sunday. And then Monday is main events. That race has grown. I will admit that is a sister company of ours. MX Sports puts that event on. First couple of years, it was okay. I mean, it was cool to hang out at Daytona, but the racing, the track, not that good. They have really refined the process. The track is good now. They have a lot of laps in the main events. I feel like now it's not just a who gets to start and holds on for 3 laps. These are legit battles. Most of the top amateur riders and teams come to the event. It's really good now, the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross. Now they have the Vintage Supercross on Tuesday. Warning, warning, warning. Last year, everyone learned they do tame the track down. You don't have to do table 3-3 quad on-offs on vintage bikes. They'll also have the opening round of the ATV National Motocross Championship mixed in with the vintage race on Tuesday. GNCC round 2, Saturday, Sunday. ATV Saturday, same day as the Pro Supercross, and then bikes on Sunday. That's really a fun event. A lot of industry people come, blow the cobwebs off, get out of the winter, go race there. The next weekend, you have the American Flat Track opener as a doubleheader with the Daytona 200 road race. So that's March 14th, Daytona 200 in the afternoon, and then the American Flat Track opener, Daytona TT under the lights, Saturday night. Also taking place that same weekend is Day in the Dirt down south. Now, Day in the Dirt, you probably heard of it. That was a big event, or is a big event that takes place over Thanksgiving, I believe, out in California, most recently at Glen Helen. Now they're going to have a Day in the Dirt down south so you can get that vibe in the east, and that'll be at the famous Dade City Motocross in Central Florida. The event runs Friday, March 13th through Sunday, March 15th. Go to dayinthedirt.downsouth.com. Now, what they claim is this is the fastest party on two wheels. They work really hard to make this event low-key, more fun than it is serious. So a couple of things they do. First of all, a crazy amount of activities off the track. You got bands, you got cornhole, you got food, really laid-back atmosphere there. And then the track itself, they take the Dade City Motocross track. They don't use any huge doubles or anything like that. And then they add to the lap. I've been told that this is kind of near a high school nearby. It's kind of in the middle of town, so they have some roads, and they'll actually run some of the track on the roads. They call it a GP course instead of a motocross course. So that means fast-flowing, fun, not peaked-out jumps. The lap time, I heard, is going to be something like 5 or 6 minutes. It's a track that anybody can pretty much ride, regardless of skill level. And there's a crazy amount of different classes. There's team racing. So you'll probably get some crazy combos there. And because it's a Red Bull event, you're going to get pretty much all of the big Red Bull athletes there. Travis Pastrana, Ronnie Renner, Ryan Sipes, who we're going to talk to here in a minute. They will all be there, and they will all be racing and riding. So that is awesome. You're going to have a vintage race. You're going to have a two-stroke class. You're going to have mini classes for 65s and up. You're going to have a vet class, women, pro, of course, beginners. Also, the team race. And a bit of a Florida reunion where they're going to take a bunch of people that grew up in Florida, Florida natives, old school Florida tracks that wear a bib representing their local track. That'll be cool. And the barn party as well. So go to dayinthedirt.downsouth.com and come on over. I'm going to actually go. This is my schedule. Are you ready for this? Daytona is always crazy. Here we go. So I'm going to go to Daytona on Thursday. I'm going to host press day on Friday. I'm going to announce the race on Saturday. I'm going to stay in Daytona the next few days for GNCC, for the Ricky Carmichael Amateur race, for the Vintage race. I will do press day for Flat Track on Wednesday. I will go home on Thursday. I will go to Indianapolis on Friday for press day for Supercross there. We will have a live show at Indianapolis Friday night. Then I will fly back to Daytona Saturday. I will do TV for Daytona Flat Track Saturday night. And then I will go over to Day in the Dirt on Sunday. I will be there. Day in the Dirt down south on Sunday, March 15th. Be there. It's really fun. Now, the master of ceremonies for many of these Daytona events would be Ryan Sipes. You know General Sipes. We check in with him once a year, actually twice, beginning of the year and end of the year, on how his schedule is forming for the year. He races no one specific series. He races a variety of them, trying to prove he's the best all-around motorcycle rider in the world. I think that's what Red Bull tries to tag him. I don't think Ryan is putting that out there. So what is his schedule? Well, 2 events at Daytona. He's going to race Daytona Supercross in the 450 class and Daytona Flat Track the next weekend. Ronnie Mack, yes, the Ronnie Mack, has put $25,000 on the line, and he will give it to any rider who can make the 450 main at Daytona and make the singles class 450 main at the Daytona TT and beat Sipes. If you beat Sipes, you get $25,000. I know that seems difficult because Sipes has kind of become this master of both series, but there are plenty of privateers who make main events every single week in Monster Energy Supercross. They could probably beat Sipes in the Supercross. So if they can come out and do anything, if they can qualify in the TT, which is possible, because I want to remind these guys, the TT is not a typical flat track race. They have a jump. They'll have left and right hand turns. It's not an oval. Supercross guys can do this. They could sneak it into the main. They could win $25,000. And I know that there are some privateers that have been thinking about doing this. Skip Indianapolis and go for the Ronnie Mack money at Daytona. Should be interesting. Will anyone do it? Will anyone beat Sipes at his own games? We'll see. All right, so I'm going to get to Ryan Sipes right now. We'll talk about his schedule for the year, which, of course, starts next week. Your races are about to start, and I guess a lot of different ones. So what's this time of year like nearing March?
Yeah, it's been it's always kind of a eye opener when you get back on a Supercross track after not being on one for a while. But that'll be my first event is Daytona Supercross. I've been spending a ton of time on the Supercross track, but then I have the flat track the next weekend. So I've been riding 4 to 5 days a week, and a lot of the days are kind of two-a-days where I ride Supercross in the morning and flat track in the afternoon, and just to try to. Yeah, I want to do well at both of them. You know, I spent most of my time on Supercross track last year, and it kind of showed at Daytona flat track. I just wasn't ready, so I want to win it this year. So I'm putting a lot of focus into that as well.
Yeah, let me skip to the Daytona flat track. That has a little bit of pavement section in it, which most people probably don't know too much about flat track, but that's not normal at all. And then for you, I would think that's also not normal. So is that really doable to say you're going to win that one? Is it just like any other TT, or is it significantly more challenging for you?
Honestly, I think the asphalt's going to be. I think it could be a good thing for me. Just because So rewind to last year, I was fine in practice, and my heat race I was okay at Daytona. But by the time the main came around, it was so slick and dry that I was fighting it, and a bad start and a couple other things. But this year, there's actually more asphalt. We're going to do last year was just a straightaway. This year, they're going to do the straightaway and then a turn, a 180 on asphalt, and another straightaway with like half a turn and another turn on asphalt. So, and supposedly, from what I've heard, it's a full right-hander. So last year was like a slight bend. It's not really, because that's kind of my bread and butter is the right-hander, being, coming from Moto. And this year, it's supposed to be a full 180 right. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm dreaming to think I can win it, but I try to think that way all the time. I want to go there and have a good one. So
jumping on pavement, you've been Mr. Versatility, but the little bit of pavement stuff you've done here and there, that doesn't seem like, whoa, this is a whole nother level of I'm not used to this.
No, I mean, well, I've been to the go-kart track on my flat track bike and done a full day of asphalt, and it was one of the most fun days I've had so far. Just the asphalt it's not like dirt. It's super predictable. So it's like as far as the limit is the limit. No matter, it's not like dirt where your rut blows out. There's no ruts, and the grip is basically the same every time you come around. So it was fun for me. A little bit, like you said, it was different. But I was going slow at first, and then I'd come in and hit the corner fast. And I go, dang, it didn't even slide. Let me hit it faster. Faster, and I know there's a limit, and when I find it, it's not going to feel good, but I feel like I got pretty good throttle control and stuff, and I'm looking forward to it, to riding on the asphalt.
I remember when you first switched to GNCC and we'd get to the opener in Florida, and you're like, man, I'm in Kentucky and it's winter time and I'm not maybe 100% in full race shape, but now it sounds like you got this pretty dialed. Are you down in Florida for most of this wintertime prep?
Yeah, I'm at Moto Sandbox, Jason Baker's place down here. So riding with Jason Sexton and Kenny and Adam before he got hurt every day, which is cool on the Supercross track. And then Johnny Lewis has a flat track literally 2 miles away. So it couldn't work out better. That's why I can, get the Supercross bike washed up and put it up and grab the flat track bike and drive over there for an afternoon session.
Wow.
But I did... last year was tough, was just a busy year, and after my final race was ISD, and you know how hard that race is. Well, after that, I was done. I just had no energy, and so I'm like, I'm going to take a little time off. Well, a little bit of time kind of turned into 2 months. So then when I got back to training, it was like, man, I've really lost a lot, and it took me a while to get back going and back in the mode, but I've been training really hard, and I feel good. So, yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's pretty good company down there. And I say same thing with I was saying to Caleb Russell about him having his place in Florida, and he kind of interacts with those guys a little bit.
Like, it's cool probably for the flat track scene, for the ISTE thing, for all the different events. I would think it keeps guys like Roczen, Sexton, AC a little more connected. They probably wouldn't be paying any attention at all, but you almost kind of force it on them, I would think. It's probably a neat little way to introduce them to all these other types of things.
Yeah, well, they're always joking with me because we'll get done riding and they'll say, well, what are you doing this afternoon? Is it flat track?
Yeah.
Is it, GNCC is whatever. And but I invite them every time. Like, well, come on out with me. Let's go to the flat track. And they all want to, but they're so deep in their season, like they got to stay focused and all that. But I've been trying to get them out there.
Oh. I bet you at least the flat track thing, I bet you that series has caught on so much, I bet you everyone secretly at least wants to try it. I bet you hear this a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing is everybody asks, how is that? And I
Yep.
say, man, it's fun. And then they go, yeah, I want to try it one day. And then, people are kind of scared of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to you about this before, but that part where you get out of your comfort zone, where you go and do something that you don't know if you'll be good at it, and that scares a lot of these guys. Like, I'm not saying that's what Kenny and those guys, but there's some other guys that, now I won't say names, but they're like, I want to do the flat track, but I'm scared I won't be good.
Right.
Like, you probably won't be, but you might be, and it'll be a blast, so we'll see. They'll figure it out one day, or they won't.
Well, now is this a real thing? This you're not eligible for it, but is there a little money on the line if someone did want to actually try this? Is that a real thing, or is that like an underground thing?
$25K. It's out there. $25,000 if you can qualify for the Daytona Supercross in the 450 class and qualify for the flat track in the singles class, and you got to beat me. But I'm not eligible. So like overall, if I got third in the flat track and 16th in the Supercross, they would have to go, fourth and 14th.
Right.
If that makes any sense. To overall points beat me.
You're like the goalie.
Yeah, but I'm like, why am I not eligible? I want some money. But they said it doesn't make sense to just, because that's what I'm doing. So.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's almost too easy money. Like, I don't know anyone that's going to be able to go out there and beat you at these two specific disciplines. That's like literally your specialty, the two things in 2 consecutive weekends. So.
Yeah, I know, but still.
You'd like to have it.
Yeah, exactly. But it would just be cool to see somebody try it. Even if, they don't win it or whatever. Just try it and see what happens. Because just like I didn't know I would like flat track so much until I tried it, it'd be cool to see somebody, especially with as close as we are now, somebody with very little prep, but a really good Supercross rider, go out and see what he could do, with, just trying it.
Is there some traction? Is there a chance that obviously, a guy like Ken Roczen, he can't skip the Indianapolis Supercross. He's getting paid to be there. But is there a chance somebody's going to try it? Do you have any idea?
I've been working every angle I can.
Oh, okay.
And Jeremy at Red Bull, he's like, you're just making competition for yourself. I don't care. I just want somebody to try this, and I don't. One guy said he's in, and then he got hurt. And then another guy said, I want to do it, but I'm kind of scared.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's going to happen. Maybe somebody was secretly planning on it, and I haven't heard about it. But as far as I know, I don't know if anybody's going to go for it.
Bro, $25,000. Like, if you're a privateer guy, like, that's unbelievable amount of money.
Well, that's what I was telling these guys. Like, is it better for you to go to Indy and get 18th?
Yep.
Or try for this.
Yeah.
Even if you don't win the money, the amount of exposure you get is tenfold what you would get getting 18th at Indy.
Yep.
Because they never see you on TV, in 18th.
Yeah, the fans would be all over it if another Supercross guy gave it a shot. I agree.
And Flat Track said they blow it up, which obviously that makes a ton of sense for them.
Yep.
To show another Supercross guy coming in, but. Anyway, we'll see. Maybe somebody will do it, but maybe not.
Hey, that's interesting to me. I never thought of this. You're not a full-time flat track guy for certain. I mean, you don't do most of the races, but the AFT, they're a promotional machine, man. They get marketing and all that. That's why they've blown up so much. They're down with your program. Like you talk to them, they like what you're doing.
Yeah, they're always they've really from the very beginning kind of welcomed me with open arms, and not that they're doing anything special for me or anything like that, but yeah, they've been pretty easy to work with, and they're all for it. Like Kristen Beat is their kind of pit reporter, and
Yep.
she's coming over all the time and talking about what I'm doing, not just about whatever race we're at, but all the other stuff I'm doing. So.
Yeah, so what else is there? Oh, by the way, one more thing. You're doing 450 Supercross now? You had to step it back up?
Yeah, well, Red Bull said if you're going to try to claim to be the best all-around rider in the world, you can't race the little boys class. So I said, I guess I understand.
Ooh, that's a tall order, man. That's going to be a lot tougher.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. I never got to do it. And no doubt there's more good riders, I would say, and the pace is probably a little bit better, but that's just at the front. But even, where I'm going to be, there's fast guys. And everybody stayed pretty much healthy this year, so there's a lot of fast guys.
Yep.
But it's cool. I mean, I told them what better time to learn how to ride do a 450 in Supercross than age 35. Might as well do it. I've done everything else, so I might as well figure this out too.
Not one time ever? You never raced a 450 Supercross?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I don't really count it.
Okay.
I raced one race.
Oh, okay.
On a 2009 KTM 450, and I don't know if you remember that bike, but it weighed approximately 416 pounds, and you could put it in a tractor pull, and it would probably win.
Did it have a linkage, or was it still non-linkage bike?
No link. PBS, and it was a tank, dude. So, yeah, I don't really count it, and I made the main, I think. So, I mean, whatever that means, but I did. It's not like I was out there, or really put a whole off season in to prepare for it. It was just kind of opposite coast. Hey, you want to do this? Yeah, I'll go do it. So.
Gotcha. All right. What else you got on your schedule, racing wise this year?
We got Supercross flat track. We'll do one GNCC. I'm not sure which one yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably do a couple sprint enduros. Do an Erzberg again. And another hard enduro in Europe and Poland, and then Hawaiian Supercross, 2 more flat tracks later in the year, and ISD again hopefully, and then Washougal Motocross and OzX. So
OzX Open.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked to do that.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, look, the Hawaii thing could not have worked out better. So yeah, throw in a couple of these internationals, man. Yeah. Are you running a number 1 plate in Hawaii?
Oh, yeah.
You are?
Oh, yeah. I already got it printed and everything. I'm like, yes, I'm going to that, no matter if I have to pay my own way, because I want to run the number 1.
Hawaiian champ. Yeah, OzX, I went last year, man. The event is awesome, and they know how to promote it, too. So it's I'm sure they're pumped, I would think, to have you there.
Yeah, we wanted to do it last year, but it didn't work out. Basically, I would have had to from ISD and stay and be there for 3 days and then leave again for a week and a half.
Yep.
And I kind of just said, no, I can't do it, man.
Right.
I don't have the energy, and my wife, I'll be divorced by the time I get back. So.
Yeah, that's the other side thing that I like, and they integrated it into your General Sipes show. Like, you and your wife were hanging out with us at Tampa in the press box. Like, you were going to a race practically as a date weekend, like finding time away from the kids, date night. That's as challenging as all the racing that you're doing too.
Yeah, it is. We don't get to do that very often, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Last thing, let's talk about this day in the dirt. You're going to be there. I've never gone to the California one. I don't know if you ever have. Everybody said it's awesome, but I still don't even understand exactly what it is. It's like kind of a race, kind of not a race. And do you have any idea what's happening or what you're in for?
Yeah, I actually did Day in the Dirt. Let's see. It was 2005. It was up in Gorman or something. It was in California.
Okay.
Anyway, it was a blast. I did it with my team manager at the time, Tony Sulik, and we did the team race, and then I did the coup de grace. And I I was winning that one. Me and Mike Kudrowski were battling out when he was still doing, I guess, off-road or something.
Wow.
We were battling out and got a flat tire. But, yeah, it was a really fun race and kind of not a party, but just a good time. Like, everybody's hanging out and just having fun on the dirt bikes. It's not too serious. So then this year, I didn't even know they were doing one down here in Florida, but I got a text in January from Travis Pastrana saying, hey, I'm bringing a tour bus and a trailer full of two-strokes, and let's do this day in the dirt thing and team up or whatever. I don't know if it would be me and him or whoever it'll be, but somebody from their crew I'll be teaming up with, and we're just doing it to have a good time. But it will be cool after I'm doing Supercross and then flat track, and the very next day is the day in the dirt. So that'll be a nice little, get out there and have some fun and blow off some steam.
Does that mean you have to ride on a two-stroke?
I want to.
Okay.
I wanted to bring my two-stroke down, but I didn't have room in the trailer. I got 4 bikes already with me, and I didn't really have room for the 5th one. So I'm hoping he has one. If not, I'll ride, I guess, my GNCC bike or something. But either way, it'll be fun.
Well, that shows how kind of loose program that particular event is going to be then. Like, it's just do whatever. Whatever. Somebody's got a bike to borrow, just grab it.
Yeah, and it's pretty well, at least from what I can remember from the last one, there's guys out there in costumes and everything else. Like, it's the furthest from serious. It's not like you go there to win a number 1 plate.
Right.
You go there to have a good time, and if you win, that's a bonus. So it should be fun, and especially with the crew I'm going with, we're going to have fun no matter what.
Yeah. Travis and Tyler Berriman are kind of the headliners there. And then this race, by the way, it's like the moto track and then a ton of other stuff like on one gigantic lap, from what I can tell, even pavement.
Yeah, that's what I don't know if all the races are that way.
Okay.
But from what I remember from before, the big race, or actually both the team race and the big coup de grace at the end, which it's like a 2.5 hour Ironman like solo deal. Mm-hmm. But it's a big track, like 3 or 4 or 5 minute lap time. So it's pretty cool just to be different than just going to your motocross track and doing that.
Yeah, so they just take what Dade City, I guess, has, then throw in, a couple other sections or something just to make it crazy big. Something like that.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know much about the track this year.
Yeah.
But when I did the one in California, it was up in not northern California, but up north of LA, and you did some of the motocross track, and then went off in the desert.
Yep.
And did some of that, and then came back on. So they always do a pretty good job at the track.
And I think anybody can okay, you're there, Travis is there, big name dudes are there, Ronnie Renner, et cetera, but other people can race this. That's the cool thing about it. They can race in it with you guys. It's kind of like run what you brung, go for it. That's where these things usually are, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like it's more just about having fun. And there's the one I went to. There's so many people. There's a ton of people.
Yep.
And we were lined up, not even on a gate. It was like a flag start or a gun or something. Just cool and different. So everybody's out there together. And like I said, nobody takes it too serious, so you don't have people getting mad all over the place, or hopefully not.
Yeah.
And, just out there riding your dirt bike, that's why we got into this, to go ride our dirt bikes with our buddies and have fun.
Yeah, well, you epitomize it, man, because I feel like, obviously, you're taking these races that you're in very seriously and you want to do well, but the just having fun in a dirt bike, that's kind of like the theme of what you're doing. You're not hell-bent on winning some championship. You're just enjoying it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, you already said it, but I do take it very serious.
Yeah.
I want to do it as well as I can, but if I don't, there's almost a little bit of a calmness because most of this stuff I'm not really expected to do that well. So when I do, I do, it's just a bonus. And if I'm not good at it, then I tried. I put everything I had into it, but it is more fun, I think, than doing just one thing all the time. Now, Len, I've told you this before. I would be a lot better at one thing if I only did one thing. But it's pretty fun just trying to be your best at every different thing because it's not like you get, hours and hours and weeks on each individual one. It's kind of, I'm double, twice a day doing 2 different things, and every day something different. So it's a ton of fun. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, that's the main thing. It's the main thing. Right. All right, so there we go. 20 minutes. Your schedule's back. The show's back too? General Sipes, are you back?
Yes, sir. Yep. They'll be, I don't know when they're coming out, but they're definitely doing it again.
You're going to have dudes following you around again.
Yep, all year.
All right. Well, we'll be seeing a lot of each other. I'll see you at Daytona, and then I'll see you again at Daytona, and then I think I'll see you again at Day in the Dirt. So I'll be there for all three of those.
Sweet.
Yep.
Let's hang out.
Yep. Yeah, we'll party it up. All right, Sipes.
All right, man. All right, see ya.
All right, have a good night. See ya.
There you go. Ryan Sipes. Also, as I mentioned in the backdrop of Daytona, it's not quite in Daytona, but it is round 2 of the GNCC series, which is held in Florida. No coincidence. It's an easy drive, by the way. I do it every year. I drive out to the GNCC on Sunday morning. But, man, is that series devastated. So a few weeks ago, we had Caleb Russell on this Exhaust podcast by Yoshimura talking about his final season. He said, look, man, if these guys want to take this championship from me, here it is. Come and get it. It's your last chance. Well, the main guy who would have liked to have taken it from him, Thad Duvall, hurt his knee late last year. I guess he hurt his knee again at the GNCC opener at Big Buck over the weekend. He posted on Instagram he's in for knee surgery. And then the hotshot rookie, Ben Kelly, coming in with a ton of hype. He hurts his shoulder a few days before the GNCC opener, and he just announced today that he is in for shoulder surgery. So things have quickly fallen in K. Russ's direction. And now I think there's going to be two challenges. A, can he stay focused enough without having to worry about those two guys, stay on his game, and avoid his own problems? And B, if he does, how many races can he win? Never bring up perfect season after just one round, especially in GNCC. I mean, just with the injuries I listed with those two guys alone, you see how quickly this is going to all come unraveled. But look, his primary competitor is also Trevor Bollinger, who's the Rockstar Husky teammate of Duvall's, also out with a knee injury. So you're looking at maybe 3 of the 5 or 6 fastest guys out with injury. That obviously helps Russell's odds quite a bit this year. So it will be interesting to see how this changes the dynamic. Does Caleb go for the throat and try to win every race? Does he stay focused enough without having those guys nipping at his heels? Does that lead to his own problems? I don't know. This is not what we thought we would get this year. But what you should do, if you're anywhere within driving distance, is go to Florida. All these events, dude. Daytona Supercross, Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross, Vintage Supercross, ATV Motocross Opener, GNCC, Flat Track, Daytona 200 Road Race, Day in the Dirt down south. Why would you not go and participate in some of these things? You can be in them. You can race to GNCC. You can race to Amateur Supercross. You can race to Vintage Supercross. And Day in the Dirt is designed for anyone. I mean, horrible riders like myself. It is designed for folks like myself to go ride their dirt bike and have fun. What a great way to do it this time of year, man. Nothing beats Central Florida weather the beginning of March. I live it every year. I wouldn't go without it. I'd be in huge trouble if I didn't get this oasis. So come and join us anywhere, any of these events. It's really, really fun. If you have never done the Daytona Bike Week thing, you are missing out. That's it for our Exhaust podcast this week. Next week, Justin Brayton. Oh, man. So good, man. So good, man. Podcast is so good. Stay tuned for that. Thanks to Yoshimura for giving Brayton really cool exhaust systems. Thank you, Yoshimura, for that. Thank you. And thank you for Justin Brayton for being okay despite crashing 5 times in Dallas. I watched him do his motos this week. He is an American hero. He's tough. He cannot be broken. By the way, Brayton's daughter and my son raced against each other in this Stasek race, and when I hung out with Brayton at Club MX yesterday, he had a love note from his daughter to give to my son, and then I gave it to my son, and then this morning, before going to preschool, my son wrote a love note to give to Brayton's daughter this weekend in Atlanta. This is where we're at, people. This is where we're at. Brayton, Weigandt, Young Love, can you beat it? Happy Bike Week. Happy Valentine's Day. Let's just throw it all together. Motorcycles are awesome. Let's celebrate. See you next week.